New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
New Thought Media Network is excited to present Divine Science Everywhere, Fridays at 2 p.m. Mountain Time and 4 p.m. Eastern. Come explore a modern experience of divine science. With Reverend Joy Fletcher, Reverend Jeff Radcliff, and Bishop Durrell Watkins. Join us as we open our eyes to divine science everywhere we look. Fridays on New Thought Media Network.
Well, happy Friday. Welcome. This is Divine Science Everywhere on New Thought Media Network. I'm Reverend Joy Fletcher, and I'm so happy that you could join us today. This is our 29th broadcast. Fantastic. So Divine Science Everywhere features New Thought guests and as well as divine science ministers to discuss divine science, principles, and the practice. And my colleague is Reverend Jeff Radcliff.
Okay, I was waiting for you to tell about yourself like normal. Did I miss something?
I did miss it.
Well, that's Reverend Joy. She expresses in all kinds of ways. I'm Reverend Jeff. I express as me. You get what you see is what you get. You're going to find me, though, on Facebook. Look for Giatti Ministries, GIATI-Ministries. Stands for God is all there is, because what kind of a divine science minister would I be if I didn't talk about the omnipresence of spirit? I'm also on the board of directors of the Divine Science Federation International, as well as the Divine Science Ministers Association. I do all kinds of other weird, crazy, wild stuff, including Friday Fireside Chat right here on New Thought Media Network with Reverend Michael Mangus. You'll find that tonight. A brand new show. I know it's been a while since we've done it. Brand new show, 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central. So look for me again tonight.
Thank you.
And I'm Durrell Watkins. I'm the senior minister of the Sunshine Cathedral in Fort Lauderdale, sunshinecathedral.org. We are a 7-day-a-week church. We feed about 1,000 people every Wednesday afternoon in the neighborhood. We are co-sponsors of a ministry called Pride House, which houses, gives transitional housing to LGBTQ youth who are facing housing insecurity. We we have a performing arts series that has a lot of great stuff going on all the time. In just November the 7th, we will have Miss Coco Peru back again. She always kills. And in January, we will be having Flamey Grant. She's been pretty big in the last couple of years, and so she'll be here in January, and lots of things in between. So we're very busy. And then, of course, we're online. Our 10:30 service on Sunday is live streamed. I am a co-host of a show called The Queer God Squad, and I'm one of the co-hosts here on this show on the New Thought Media Network. So I stay pretty busy, but on Sunday, right after the second service, I'm driving across the state, jumping on a boat, and I'm not thinking about any of y'all for about 6 days. But then I'll be back, and I have to get back to work. But I'm super looking forward to it. That's the DSFI and DMSA joint retreat at sea. So that's what I've got going on. We now, of course, will go into our centering moment. Every week, Reverend Joy prepares a time for us to get centered and inwardly focused. And it's a very healing and energizing time. I look forward to every week. And it's time for that right now.
And all right. Thank you. Thank you. So, this time of the year, it's believed that the veil between those on the other side in spirit form and we can communicate more clearly. It's closer. It also is Halloween, and we also have the opportunity to think about what that means to us. Is it just about candy and dressing up and your alter ego or whatever, or is it an opportunity to consider it's time to peel away the mask that we take on, that other people might have given us the message, and we retain that. So John O'Donohue wrote Anam Cara, and he said our ancestors dwell in that invisible world from which we came, to which we shall return. Their love is woven into our breath. When we remember them, the veil grows and the light of their blessing shines again. So this sacred season reminds us that the veil between the worlds is indeed thin, not as something eerie, but as a holy closeness. It's a time when memory softens into presence, when the past whispers its wisdom to the present moment, and we remember that we walk in the company of countless souls who have walked this path before us. In divine science, we know that life is one and unbroken. There is no separation between what we call life and death, past and present, visible and invisible. Everything is an expression of the one infinite life, eternally unfolding itself in new forms of beauty and consciousness and love. Our new thought for mothers and for fathers, Melinda Kramer, Nona Brooks, Fanny Brooks, Emma Curtis Hopkins, Myrtle and Charles Fillmore, Ernest Holmes, and so many more, still speak through the currents of our thought and our teachings today. Their realization of omnipresence opened the doors that we can continue to walk through. They face their own storms, their own uncertainties, their own times of cultural change, just like we. And yet they stood firmly on spiritual principle, declaring that God is the only presence, power, and reality. The only principle that exists is omnipresence. And because they did, we now stand on where they once stood in faith and courage and in the radiant possibility of spirit manifesting through our consciousness and in the world today. We are here with a sacred responsibility as well as a sacred privilege to embody those teachings and open ourselves, expand our own consciousness so that more light is poured into this world, onto this planet, and drawing forth from the hearts of each other and expressing that to each other. Beyond these individuals I mentioned, they're more than our spiritual pioneers, or yes, beyond spiritual pioneers. We also honor our own personal ancestors, those who shaped our stories, who loved and labored and who carried both wounds and wisdom, as we do, lessons to learn and unfold and to release. Use those situations as seeds to create a new vision, a new experience, expanding consciousness. So let's take a breath and be truly, truly present in this moment, conscious of those that have been here before us, and their presence still is with us. We gently thank them for all of the seeds and lessons that they placed on our own path as well as their own. Remembering that we have this responsibility and this opportunity, this privilege to pick up where they left off and continue moving forward, to be a beacon of hope and wisdom and love and light for those in our lives, even when things seem the darkest, when there seem to be storms and sometimes when there seems to be drought. Let us hold on to the hope and the vision of our forebears and hold on to that vision for future generations. Let us honor the ancestors of spirit and of our family. We are the living bridge between the past and the future. We are a vessel of light, carrying it forward. So as we go forward in gratitude for all those who came before and all those who will follow, let us remember we're always connected because there is no separation in life. Life continues. Life expands. It just sometimes changes form, but it exists. It is present. It's powerful. So we thank you. We thank you. And for the love that continues to speak, to guide, and to bless us as we do the same. And so it is. In all, through all, as all.
Amen. Thank you very much for that. It's always a great break in the day and even in the week. And I look forward to it. As she was calling all the ancestors, I couldn't help but sort of reach out in my mind to some that are very dear to me, such as Roy Eugene Davis, who initiated me into Kriya Yoga and who was, everyone knows him as a disciple of Paramahansa Yogananda. He was also a divine science minister. I was thinking of Robert Winterhalter, a divine science minister and Bible scholar. I was thinking of Grantland Ford, who was unaffiliated New Thought. His life philosophy was New Thought. He incarnated me into the independent Catholic priesthood, and about a year before he died, I got to ordain him into divine science. So he left this world a fully credentialed divine science minister. I was thinking of my first New Thought mentor, Kay Hunter. She was not a divine scientist, but she was in everything. She was actually Science of Mind, but she loved Urantia, Course in Miracles, angels, Reiki. She was everything. So if I wanted to scoop her into divine science, she wouldn't, I don't think, be offended. And then another long-term mentor, dear friend, recently lost, of course, is Cindy Lippert, a divine science minister. She was also a unity person for a while, but her spiritual bread and butter was divine science. And then her mentor, of course, Ann Kunath, the founder of the United Divine Science Ministries. So all of those dear ones were on my mind, as well as the sort of the ancients, Melinda Kramer, Nona Brooks, Fanning B. James, Emmett Fox, Ernest and Fenwick Holmes. Ernest, of course, started out divine science. Fenwick Holmes was always divine science. He helped with Sekou Noe, and he helped with religious science, but he was a divine science minister, led a divine science congregation. We don't care so much about labels.
Yeah.
So those are some of the ancestors that came to mind during that meditation. And then, of course, there's some that I wanted to share with you anyway. Every week, we talk about some New Thought luminaries. I often and usually have what I call a divine science sandwich, where we start and end with divine scientists. But there can be other New Thoughts ministers or teachers in the middle. And so our first person today is Larry Morris. Now, maybe not a lot of people remember him, but I think if you've not heard of him, you should. Because we don't want to forget, even if what you were doing was just one little corner of the world, it probably made a lot of difference in that area. And whenever you make a difference one place, you're actually helping every place. So Larry Morris from New Mexico was a divine science minister ordained through the Brooks Divinity School. And just like Reverend Joy, Dr. Morris held a PhD in literature from the University of New Mexico, and his focus was mystical literature. His spiritual influences were varied. This is so New Thought. He's so divine science. His influence was varied and included beat poetry and J. Krishnamurti. Larry was the minister of Hillside Community Church in New Mexico, and he authored the book Easy Does It: Positive Thoughts for Daily Living. Our next person today, sort of the, I guess, the cheese layer of our sandwich, is Agnes Sanford. Agnes Sanford, I love her because mainline Protestants claim her, the positive thinkers claim her, the charismatics claim her, and the New Thoughters claim her. I love that she was so universal that everybody thinks she was them. She was the daughter of Presbyterian missionaries in China. She was the wife of an Episcopal priest. And she became a world-renowned healer in her own right. And she taught that the Bible was more than information, that it contained the energy of faith, which could work miracles. She believed that healing was possible if we could pray down our doubts and expect something good to happen. If we would deny what isn't true and then affirm or expect or accept what is true, something good. That sounds very New Thought to me. She acknowledged that effective prayer principles were universal and not limited to any one religion. And she firmly believed that, and I quote, experience comes before theology. Her prayer methods were visualizing success, affirming our good, giving thanks for our good, and imagining healing energy flowing through us. And quoting affirmative Bible verses were also among the prayer techniques she offered. She believed the return of Christ had happened at Pentecost, and that Christ continues to return every time we extend love, kindness, or forgiveness in our world. And so, yes, even though her background was Protestant and her theology was very compatible with New Thought, she also had charismatic experiences. So she was sort of a spiritual leader for all schools of thought. But I was very excited years and years ago that to find Christopher Bazemore, the United Divine Science Seminary head for these last many years, used her books as a text and included her in the divine science training program. So that's Agnes Sanford. Next on the list, I guess the meat of our
if I can jump in real quick, Bishop Durrell, I did not know that you were going to include Agnes Sanford as one of our luminaries. I came across her name just the other day and bought her book.
She had a few. Was it The Healing Light you got?
The Healing Light, yes.
That's very good.
I love the synchronicity of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Isn't that fun? Sort of the meat of our sandwich then is Ralph Waldo Trine, who was actually named for Ralph Waldo Emerson. He was a philosopher and New Thought author. He lived to be the age of 92. He attended the University of Wisconsin and earned a master's degree from Knox College. He taught at Emerson College, and he influenced E.W. Kenyon, who is the father of the Word of Faith movement. It's different from New Thought in that their God is still up and out there somewhere, and there is an opposing force, evil force. But despite that, the difference in theology, they do believe in the power of words and the power of thoughts, and using those powers affirmatively and creatively and intentionally. And so Kenyon got that from Trine. Trine was influenced by Emerson and Emmett Fox, and its principles were echoed by Napoleon Hill. Now, Napoleon Hill is the bottom layer condiment of our sandwich. He lived from 1883 to 1970. He's a well-known self-help guru and personal development expert. He was inspired by Dale Carnegie and Charles Hennell. And Charles Hennell, of course, the big New Thought writer. Hill was an advisor to Presidents Woodrow Wilson and Franklin D. Roosevelt. Hill believed that fear and selfishness contribute to failure. He was one of the thinkers who inspired Norman Vincent Peale. His books include The Law of Success, Think and Grow Rich, and Success Through a Positive Mental Attitude. Hill believed, quote, every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. And then finally, the bottom piece of bread of our sandwich is we're back to a divine scientist, Harry Gaze. Another one that people may not know much about, which is why I'm here right now. Harry Gaze lived from 1878 to 1959. He was a divine science minister and author. He began lecturing on practical Christianity. There's always some, if unity or divine science were the first people to use that, who cares? Everyone can use it. But he began lecturing on practical Christianity in 1898, and through the years served in several divine science pulpits. And these included the Church of the Healing Christ in New York, after W. John Murray and Emmett Fox had been there, as well as the First Church of Divine Science in Denver, where Nona and her sisters got going. And in the 40s, before Erwin Gred succeeded him. Reverend Gaze wrote 2 well-known biographies of Emmett Fox and Judge Thomas Troward. We usually only have 3 or 4. Today we had 5, but these are all people you ought to know. If you've not heard of them, Google them, and if they have books, make sure you get them on your shelf. So
yeah, and I'd like to say something about him. I walked into the newly minted Addington Archives at Unity Village, and there's this big picture of Harry Gaze there.
Oh, wow. See there? So all of that, and this is even before we get to our guest today. So before we do that, though, we're going to take a quick commercial break to remind you that we are Divine Science Everywhere, and this is the New Thought Media Network.
New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Good, okay. Hey, welcome back to Divine Science Everywhere. Lily Rose needed to join us. I made the big mistake of putting her on a few weeks ago, and now she feels like it's her right to be up here with us at least part of each and every show. She wanted to help me welcome our guest today, and our guest, I got to tell you, he's squeaky clean. I get the bios of our guests, and they always put forth their best foot. So I go out on the internet looking for some dirt. You know what? Reverend Paul Hoyt is squeaky clean. He's got no dirt on him. He was introduced to New Thought in 1983 by a dear friend that gave him the book Power Through Constructive Thinking. That was Emmett Fox. You want to get down, baby? Okay, hop down. Emmett Fox. He studied Emmett Fox, Edgar Casey, and a lot of other metaphysical and New Thought writers. In 2000, he was guided to the Center for Conscious Living in Morristown, New Jersey, was pastored by then Senior Minister Carol Lawson. And in Reverend Paul's own words, he never looked back. He took all the Science of Mind classes that they offered. And then in 2012, again, this is his words, not mine, he was confronted with Science of Mind practitioner training. So he became a licensed Science of Mind practitioner and that was in 2014. Asked Reverend Carroll to teach ministerial classes so that he could become a minister. He was licensed as a minister in 2016, ordained 5 years later. He took over the interim minister position at the Center for Conscious Living for a year and a half, rather, after Reverend Carroll retired, and he is now the associate minister, still serves in that capacity. He was also elected to the board of directors of the affiliated New Thought Network at the end of 2022. He's also the co-chair of the Anton Retreat Committee and the Anton Finance Committee, and he was just elected to another 3-year term on the board. And he is just coming off a very successful Anton retreat, which was just a couple of weeks ago. I got nothing to talk to you about, dude, because you gave me everything in your bio. Usually I say, how did you find New Thought? I'm just going to sit here and let you talk. How did you?
Jeff, real quick, can you give me the name of the book of Agnes Sanford?
Oh, yeah, it's called The Healing Light. If you like, I will send. It took me a while to find a really good copy of it because it's in the public domain now, and it can be edited out the wazoo, and people do that. I will send you the ISBN for the company that I got this from, because this is the clean original version that was published back in the 40s.
Nice, cool. Thank you.
Sure, thank you. Sure. All right, so floor is yours. Tell us about yourself. How'd you do all this?
The person that actually turned me on to Emmett Fox was a trance medium. Was the mother of a girl that I was dating that I just got back in touch with recently. And the thing that I liked about Carla was that she went into trance. There wasn't she didn't remember anything. She was, the guides just spoke through her and she didn't remember anything. But the most profound thing for me was her giving me power through constructive thinking, because I was raised an Episcopalian, and I was an altar boy, liked being an altar boy. There were some profound experiences for me in Episcopalianism, but it just didn't answer the questions for me, as we all know. So I was searching, and when she gave me that, it was the perfect bridge between Christianity and New Thought. And I went, I like this. This I can believe. This resonates. And I just started studying New Thought from then on. So I refer to it often. I go back to it many times. I've done a few funerals recently, and his interpretation of the 23rd Psalm is just brilliant. And that's what I use for well, the 23rd Psalm is brilliant. It says it all. There's our relationship with the divine. And it's like, okay, it's Lord of my shepherd, I shall not want. It's like, okay, mic drop.
How interesting that you found New Thought through a New Age technique, and I think a lot of us did. I'm fond of saying that. Well, I'd found inklings of New Thought when I was a kid, back in the 60s and the 70s, when I was seeing Unity put out the Word. Every day, the Word, that little 5-minute segment that they did with the celebrities, and so that was my first inkling of it. But I didn't really get into a whole lot of heavy spirituality until I followed Shirley MacLaine out on that limb until the wood cracked.
Yes.
And so, so it's interesting that was how you kind of sort of found it as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And as a matter of fact, the 85, we went to a spiritual retreat. There was an organization called SFF, Spiritual Frontier Fellowship, and went to a retreat. That Carla was one of the facilitators, and I met my wife there, and literally a year later married her.
Well, people of a certain age are fond of saying, I remember where I was when JFK was assassinated or whatever.
Yep.
So let me ask you, I never planned to ask this question, but where were you during the harmonic convergence?
Hmm.
Do you remember that? That was what, 1987?
Yeah,
Yeah,
87.
87. That's a good question.
Definitely weren't New Age, New Thought back then, were you?
No. Actually, yeah. I can't remember, but I remember the harmonic conversion.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Take it, Durrell. I'm done. I've asked everything that I can think of now because he did such a well job with his bio.
You you just studied, I guess, for personal benefit, for personal enrichment, and you wind up a practitioner, and then you want to be ordained, and you wind up being the interim minister and the assistant minister and all these things. Did you ever, way before all this, want to be a parish minister, or did it just happen and it was a happy accident? How did that go?
It was the divine. It was interesting. My wife passed away 9 years ago, and at the time I was, well, obviously I was grieving the loss of my wife, but I was also, the way I dealt with her passing was diving into my spirituality and just everything I could do, everything, I was, every spiritual practice that I could think of, that I was blessed with, was right there. So, but at one point, and I thought about this the other day, I was helping Reverend Carroll with the next practitioner class, and I kept saying to people, there's this hand in my back that's just pushing me forward.
Mhm.
And I said, I have no idea what that is, but it's this, come on, let's go. It's time. So I just kept studying, and I'll be honest with you, the reason, and it turned out perfectly, but the reason I took ministerial classes was because I wanted to, I took it for credibility, is the honest truth. Because I didn't channel, I didn't do Reiki, I didn't do, I had no special whatever, and so I thought, okay, if I become a minister, then I can get my word out, and the word of science of mind and new thought. And it was like, once I became a minister, it was like, oh, okay, I'm a minister, and I'm supposed to be a minister. Mm-hmm. And it was, it wasn't a track that I was thinking, oh boy, I'm gonna take this track. And it's all divine, it's all God. It just unfolded, truthfully, because I became, my wife had just passed. I finished ministerial classes and was trying to do as much pulpit speaking as I could. A dear friend of mine, Bill Marcioni, who's a wonderful mentor of mine also, Reverend Carroll was not letting me do the pulpit at the Center for Conscious Living. And Bill called me up and said, hey, come over here. And I went, yes. So I was doing pulpit ministering over there, and Reverend Carroll was asking people, well, how come Paul's going over there? And they said, because Bill will let him.
What was her reasoning for not letting you?
Just her concern of my consciousness. It was also, I'll own this, it was her church. She founded it. She was it was her church, and I owned that. I was respectful of that. It's just that I wanted to get, up in the pulpit. I had something to say, and
and great respect to Reverend Carroll, because Reverend Dr. Johnny Coleman was the same way. If your consciousness wasn't where she thought you should be, you weren't getting in there.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you, but maybe you've already answered. If the Center for Conscious Living was your only experience, like from finding it to leading it, but you did at least also have one other center that you were part of too, huh?
Yeah, but it was the Science of Mind Center also.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bill. Yeah, it was because Bill had left the Center for Conscious Living to start his own church.
Oh, see, that's connection I didn't know. So real. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Excellent.
yeah. So that's why I knew Bill. I'd known him for years.
Mhm.
He actually also did the same thing. I'll say another thing. He did the same thing for me when I was a practitioner. Is that Reverend Carroll wasn't letting me do first prac at, and it's the same thing. It's the same, same consciousness. Hey, I want to make sure that your consciousness is such that you're truly centered in the divine as first practitioner. And Bill called me up and said, "Hey, you want to be the first practitioner over here?" And I went, "Yeah." And I also, this is a great story. Margaret Pelagi also came from the Center for Conscious Living. Hold on. Oh God, what's Margaret's church? Oh, I apologize. Apologize, Margaret. But Margaret asked me one time, I asked her. I said, "Margaret, can I hold consciousness for you during the service the next time?" And she said, "Sure." She said, "We don't necessarily do that, but I'd love for you to hold consciousness." And I did. And she came up to me and she goes, I'm starting right now to have someone do first practitioner and hold consciousness for the service. She said that was amazing. And I went, yeah, to have that support as you're ministering, to have them holding consciousness is just, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Her center is Joyful Gathering Spiritual.
Gathering. Thank you.
I remember that I had a card here.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And one of the spiritualist churches that I speak at times has somewhat of that set up. One of the, I guess you'd call him a practitioner minister, does hold the spiritual energy during the service. That's their position.
Yes.
To pray throughout the service and lend that energy to the service.
Yes.
So yes.
And
it's huge.
And
now,
I was going to say that there are going to be visitors who aren't familiar with that term, holding consciousness, or some churches that don't do that. So thank you for explaining that, because that's helpful.
Good point. I'm curious, Paul, what was your other life before you discovered this path? And how do you feel that it created perhaps a foundation for the next step?
Before I luckily found New Thought at the age of 27, which was I thank God for. I guess I had a sense of the divine, of something greater than just the religion of Christianity and of Episcopalianism, and because I found joy. I actually found a lot of joy and a lot of upliftment in being an altar boy. It was a responsibility that I took serious. I would, when we were up in Indiana, the church up there, they had two services. They had an 8 o'clock and 11 o'clock service. And I was like, I guess, 14. And Sunday, 8 o'clock service was mine. The priest said, "Hey, I'd like you to present the wine and the bread to me." And I was the sole altar boy. Whereas the later service, the older acolytes would do that. And I took it very serious. For me, it was very divine. I didn't go along with a lot of the teachings, but I felt the presence of the divine there. Let me put it that way. And I really got that connection, that divine connection at that point. But it just wasn't the Christianity and Episcopalianism just it didn't resonate with me. I knew there was something greater, and I knew that the divine loved me just unconditionally. And all of the Christian, you got to do this and you're bad and wrong and all of that just didn't resonate with me. And when I read Power Through Constructive Thinking, it was like, oh, this is what they're talking about. And that book never left my hand for like a year and a half. I had it constantly. I was referring to it and meditating about it. I started meditating. I memorized the 23rd Psalm and started meditating to it. And it was like, oh man, that was amazing. And from there, I established that knowingness, my connection, my oneness with the divine, and just went from there. So I knew that this was my path, and it was so palpable. The divine was palpable at that point. I felt so energized, and I also got into the started going, you got to read this book, and people are like, oh, my mother, who was an Episcopalian, was not too happy about it, but I toned myself down, because if you know me, I'm very excited, I'm very gregarious. So I toned it down, and I found people who resonated with it, and just kept preaching the oneness, we are the divine, we are one with all that God is, and that's all there is. And so it's been a wonderful journey. I have an amazing life, and I'm clear that it's my connection with the divine. It's just, there's nothing else that it's the divine.
I love that an Emmett Fox book was so instrumental, so foundational for you, so formative. Of course, he was ordained by Nona Brooks, and so we were very proud of him. And his ministry was at its peak during the Depression, during a time of difficulty and uncertainty and fear and confusion and chaos, and right after the First World War. And it was and that's when he had a thing that was thriving and helping people through these difficult times, post-war and then in the middle of and post depression. We're in a difficult time right now, in lots of ways, lots of uncertainty, lots of social norms just blown apart, history being ignored or erased, or it's just a weird time. And somehow New Thought was a great comfort in that weird time through Emmett Fox and his center and his writings. How can New Thought be that today in this chapter of our history?
One of the things we're doing at Anton is it's almost every month we present an evening, You Are Not Alone. And we've got Joy, did you do you?
I'm one of the facilitators too.
That's what I thought. And it's a nice opportunity to remember that it's all God. That the fear, the anxiety, the anger, we have to trust in the divine. We always have, and it's always turned out. And I'm a firm believer, and this is true in my life, that there's good in all of it. There are gifts in all of it. We don't see it right now, but I promise you there will be gifts, and we'll see it and we'll know it. A friend of mine, I'll just be blunt with you. When my wife passed, if it hadn't been for my two kids, I would have killed myself. There's no question. I knew that God loved me, that I wasn't going to go to hell, that I'd be with my wife, I'd be with Diane. And a friend of mine said, but you would have missed the gifts in it. And I went, oh. And there's 1,000 gifts. I mean, I could tell you, a whole bunch of gifts in it for me, in hindsight. But there are gifts here. There's got to be. God is good all the time, and we just need to stand in that and stay out of the fear, stay out of the rhetoric, stay out of the politics, out of the social media. It's just they've got it down in earthly terms. They've got it down in throwing us into fear. Everything is fear. Everything is fear-based. Fear, 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 fear. If you don't believe me, if you don't do this, this is what's going to happen. And we have to know that that's not the truth.
Yes.
That's not the divinity. That's not God. And stand solidly in that. And bring ourselves back, because trust me, I'll see something about the politics or whatever, and go off the rails, and it's like, no, man, get back on. This is where, because we're all one, and if we're standing in the divine as much as we possibly can, that affects all of the universe, because it's all one. So the more that we can stand in our knowingness of the divine, the more that helps.
Cool.
What would you say to somebody who wants to do that, to pivot, to repent, in other words, turn away from that's on the outside that they're looking at, but yet they keep being drummed back to it? Because I had somebody come up to me and say, well, how do I do that? I'm like, I said, this is why they call it spiritual practice, because practice makes perfect. You got to keep working at it. You got to keep doing it over and over.
Yes. One of my favorite quotes I use is, how do you get into Carnegie Hall? Practice. And that's what it takes. It truly, I was talking about it at the Anton conference, because my talk, I did a power talk, and I was talking about doing the work. And the work is to get ourselves back in sync and in the knowingness the divine is for us, loves us, guides us. And I was talking about letting go of all of the thoughts of, I'm not good enough, and I did this wrong, and I'm less than, I'm not worthy. Because so many of those thoughts are in the way of our divine thoughts, of the divine showing through. And so that's what I try and a spiritual practice that I try and impart onto people is let that stuff go. Meditate, center yourself, feel the feelings that we have that we're avoiding. I talked about letting go by David Hawkins. He talks about letting go of the feelings of fear, actually feeling them, so that we're, because we're aware of them, but we're not feeling them, because we're avoiding them at all costs. It's like, oh, I don't want to go there. That's, So he talks about actually feeling the feelings of fear, and I did it, and it was amazing, because the fear was gone. Now there are other fears that I have that I'm working with, consecutively when they come up, but that was a fear that was palpable to me. And I stepped back, I let go of all of my thoughts of the story around the fear and the idea of it, and I just felt it. And about 3 minutes later, it was gone. It was like this weight had lifted off of my shoulders. It was like, woohoo! So that's a spiritual practice that I've gotten into, because so much of what goes on in my life that sends me out of the knowingness of the divine is fear. So if I can face the fear and feel it and let it go, then because literally what was right there was the divine. It was like that woohoo was the divine. It was like woo, this influx of divine knowingness and divine love.
That's right.
And that was Emmett Fox's golden key.
Mhm.
It turned from the thing that's that's not seeming right and turn to God, which is right.
Yes.
Jeff, would you like to share about the article you just wrote? Talk about synchronicity.
Oh,
About fear.
I will in just a minute. But you mentioned feeling the fear and doing it. Brought to my mind Dr. Susan Jeffers and her book Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. So
got it.
that's what we got to do. I wrote a piece a while back, and I wish you had given me heads up that you wanted me to do something with that, because I would have pulled it up. I'm going to do this just by remembrance alone. But everybody talks about fear, and they quote that false appearances appearing, false evidence appearing real. And I'm going to just make this real short. Well, sometimes you've got to run to the fear, because fear can also stand for feel everything and rise. And we don't have to stay stuck in the negativity. And in order to run to the fear, you have to run. You have to recognize the fear. You have to repent, turn away from it. And that's the original meaning of the word repent, is to turn away from, to turn away. Then you've got to understand what's going on around you and kind of think to yourself, okay, this is what got me here. I'm turning over here. And then you can navigate your way to that so that you can actually run to the fear, but then you're going to rise instead of, being stuck in the mire and the muck of it all.
Have it bring you down.
That's yes. Yeah. So that's a real basic thumbnail sketch of that.
Cool.
And
that's great.
If anybody wants to read the entire piece, I will post it on the Jotty Facebook page. And if you
after this break,
otherwise, send me a message.
After this break, we can promote it a little bit more even. But right now, we've got to take a little break, and then you can promote your thing, and then Joy will wrap us up, and maybe one more word from Paul. But right now, we are Divine Science Everywhere, and this is the New Thought Media Network.
Yep.
Welcome back.
Jeff, Paul, and Joy, in that order. You got 6 minutes.
All right. I pulled it up real quick. I could read it to you real quick. It's only about 500 words. Would you like me to do that?
I would like it.
Yeah. We've all heard the acronym FEAR, false evidence appearing real. What sets up this fear, this false evidence that looks so real to us? It's our limiting beliefs and our negative thinking that are always the cause of fear. There are two other definitions of fear, and we'll explore those in a little bit. Nona Brooks, in her book Mystery, said our attitude has all to do with determining the kind of experiences that come to us. The love attitude brings harmony of experience. The fear attitude, confusion. In Scientific Christian Mental Practice, Emma Curtis Hopkins said, of course you know that fear is a thing. It's confidence enough to bring it to pass. Job said, the thing that I feared has come upon me. So what is our best course of action if we encounter limiting beliefs and ideas? Well, we can use FEAR, the second acronym, which means flee everything and run. But if we try to run from our fears and false beliefs, they tend to follow us. in order to outrun our fears, what we need to do is reframe what it means to run, repent, understand, and navigate. Repent, the original meaning of the word repent, turn away from, go in a different direction. So we have to turn away from those negative thoughts. We have to understand. We have to come to the basic knowledge and acceptance that negative thoughts and beliefs have no power over us. That's the important part. Have no power over us unless we give it to it. Navigate in the direction of power and freedom and of all good things. How do we navigate? We navigate through meditation, affirmative prayer, going back to Emma Curtis Hopkins from Scientific Christian Mental Practice. Fear leaves us when we, what? Tell the truth. The disciples brought a boy with a demon to Jesus for healing. Charles Fillmore taught that demons or evil spirits are conditions of mind or states of consciousness that have been developed because the creative power of man has been used in an unwise or ignorant way. The disciples tried to cast out the demon. They couldn't do it. That's those negative thoughts. They questioned Jesus as to why. He said the only way a demon could be banished was through prayer and fasting. Fasting refers to the giving up of the ideas and practices that are contrary to spiritual truth. Prayer is communion with spirit, and that improves our connection of truth. So if we do these things, fasting and praying, turning away from the not truth and turning toward the truth, I guarantee you fear. And that third and final acronym, face everything and rise. I love what Florence Scovel Shinn said in The Game of Life and How to Play It. She said, somebody has said that courage contains genius and magic. Face a situation fearlessly, and there is no situation to face. It falls away of its own weight. So you have to admit, when you fear by facing everything and rising, that's not a bad way to run your life. And I would remind you of a verse from Scripture which says, God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. That's 2 Timothy 1:7. And there you have it.
Well, thank
Beautiful, Jeff. Beautiful. Thank you. Face everything and rise. I got it. That's great. I'm stealing that.
Oh, it's borrowing. It's borrowing.
All right. I'm all right. I'm all right.
Now, time to pass the plate. Time to pass the plate. Fork it over.
All right. All right.
Zig Ziglar said it also. In some of his writings, Zig Ziglar said it. Face everything and rise. That fear can stand for face everything and rise.
There you
I
go.
love it.
So as we are drawing to the end of another delightful episode, thank you.
Where'd it go?
My goodness.
The hour. Where'd it go?
Lightning speed. Thank you very much to our guests. We really appreciate hearing
Thank you
your
all.
insights and you sharing your consciousness with us. And everyone that's watching, please like, share, and just keep coming back. Next week, our guest is Reverend Sean O'Shea, who is a divine science minister as well as a musician. I'm sure you'll enjoy that. So until next week, this is Divine Science Everywhere, and we are on New Thought Media Network. Take care.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
y'all. Thank you.